Hello everyone, Jeff here for Respawn Studios with a new version of my Diary of an Achievement Horror series. Now you might see I have 0 Gamerscore, and on the account that I've mostly been on for the last 11 years now, I was pretty close to 250,000 Gamerscore. If you watch my Achievement Horror series, I tracked different ways to get your Gamerscore up. I've changed my account name like a million times, but it's Logomancy if you want to see all the games that I played, like Hannah Montana, the movie game, and all the old school crappy achievement games. The first Avatar game where you can get the 1,000 in the tutorial, all the stuff like that. But I've flirted with the idea of making a new account, and I've actually made new accounts for years now, and I've never been able to stick with them. But now, through this series, I hope to be able to stick with them, and I'm going to explain this process. So if you want to follow along, I'm probably going to make about one video every month, tracking my journey to get at least 100,000 Gamerscore by the end of 2018. Now, it could be boring if you're just going through games that are easy achievements. They might not be good games. Here, to me, are games that are both good and worth getting the achievements in. So if you want to do games that have a certain theme, I have them in a couple categories here, like this top row is horror games. The second row are all Telltale games, which you get all but one of them. You get the full 1,000 simply by playing the game and beating it. You don't have to do anything special. Then just good indie games that are worth playing, and if you follow a guide, you can get the full 1,000 in probably under 2 hours for almost every one of them, and they're only about $20. So first, for this horror block, the Town of Light, is an indie game where you can get probably the full 1,000 in about 3 hours or so. I think it does require 2 playthroughs to make a couple different choices. Whispering Willows, if you follow a guide. I think Whispering Willows is also only $10. A lot of these other indie games are $20. You could get it all in about 90 minutes if you follow a guide. Same thing with Nevermind. The Park, you can actually get it in about 45 minutes. I just love playing the Park too. The Bunker is kind of like an interactive movie. You just make choices, tell the character where to go. It'll take you about 2 hours with a guide. Decay the Mare will take you about 45 minutes. Don't Knock Twice, you could actually do in under a half hour. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter just came out this week for Xbox. It had originally been on PS4. It's just a really cool investigative game where you're solving murders and finding out what happened. It'll take you about 90 minutes, again, 2 hours to get the full 1,000. Alan Wake happens to be my favorite game to ever be on Xbox. If you don't know it, you should. You should get it. I think it's only $20 now in backwards compatibility. And it also has 2 DLCs. You can get 1,500 Gamerscore, but that will take you probably about 8 to 12 hours. And then Murdered Soul Suspect. It's kind of a more traditional action horror game. That'll take you about 8 hours. Now, this second row here, again, Telltale games. I think all of them are either $20 or $25. I think Tales from the Borderlands was actually free with Games with Gold. I don't know if that was on PS4 or Xbox, but I'm pretty sure it was Xbox. And the other cool thing for a lot of the Telltale games, the first episodes are free regardless. I know that's true for, I think, Game of Thrones, Borderlands, the Minecraft one. You could play the first episode and get the full 200 Gamerscore at least free from all of them. But otherwise, the games I think are either $20 or $25 to get the full season for each of them. The one exception that I'd mentioned earlier was Wolf Among Us. There's a couple things where you have to make different choices in the game, and unfortunately you're going to have to replay a couple sections to do it. The other game in that row, Energy Cycle, is known as probably the easiest game on the system to get the full 1,000 in. It's just a puzzle game. I think there's 22 or 24 puzzles. You just enter the things, the results, by using like a picture guide, and you're done in 15 minutes for the 1,000 Gamerscore. NBA The Prelude was a free thing, and you can get the full 1,000. There's just 2 optional things you have to do. Use a single stat point for your character and buy and equip like a custom animation or something. So that will take you less than an hour in all likelihood. Gone Home and Edith Finch are both what's called walking simulators, but they're 2 of the best games of the last 10 years to me. They're just amazing narrative experiences. If you follow a guide, you can get the full 1,000 in each of them. And I think I have actually achievement guides for all of the things for Gone Home and Edith Finch on my own channel, if you want to use those. Otherwise, there's plenty of good YouTubers like Maka91. Virginia, again, if you want to use the Maka's guide, it will take you about 90 minutes to get the full 1,000 in that. Witness is a really cool cell-shaded puzzle game. I would suggest trying Witness on your own. If you get very frustrated, you could just look up the solutions and be done in about 90 minutes to 2 hours. Tacoma is the newest game from the Gone Home team. It's an exploration kind of walking sim in space with a really powerful narrative, but if you follow a guide, you can get the full 1,000 in about 45 minutes. Numa was a free game with gold. It's a puzzle game, so again, if you follow a guide for the solutions, you'll probably be done in about an hour, maybe hour and a half. Dear Esther, another walking simulator. I think this was the first ever project from the Gone Home team. Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm are two of my all-time favorite games. They're very powerful. The characters are unforgettable. You'll get, I think, 600 or so Gamerscore in each of them simply for beating them. And then the others are for taking optional photographs or in Before the Storm using graffiti, marking things with your marker. Fast and the Furious game here was free. It was a kind of promotional thing for the movie. I generally don't like racing games and I'm not very good at them, but I got 960 of the 1,000 Gamerscore just by playing. Didn't look up any guides, I just played. So it was actually pretty fun. Firewatch, Among the Sleep, Blackwood Crossing, Abzu, all four of these games here are different kinds of indies that, again, will take you about 90 minutes each to get the full 1,000. I would suggest playing at least Firewatch on your own first. It's a great experience. The other games aren't that great. Among the Sleep is very disturbing and a crazy kind of game. But if you just want to get it and go for the achievements, you might want to do that as well. Late Shift is an interactive movie. You would have to do at least 2 playthroughs, then you could reload at certain points and just choose different endings. Now, the one other thing I will mention here is Destiny 2, Rock Band 4, Overwatch, and Fortnite are 4 of the games that I play fairly often. Now, these aren't easy achievement games, though you can get all of the achievements just by grinding over time. Fortnite, of course, has its free Battle Royale mode. There is a co-op 4-player person mode, though, that you have to buy. And the achievements are actually fairly easy in that. But I suggest having games like that you don't just go crazy going for Gamerscore nonstop. If you're using this series just trying to get the maybe a boost to your own Gamerscore, maybe even trying to get the full 100,000 if you've happened to never play any of these games. Maybe you're new to Xbox. Still have some games that you just play for fun. Don't ever kind of lose focus of why we play games. They're fun. If you only play for Gamerscore, you might get burnt out like I have a couple times. So the BioShocks are some of my favorite games, the Assassin's Creeds, the Borderlands. Just have games that you play for fun. Now, most of the games I pointed out are indies, so they're fairly cheap. When they have the holiday sales, I think there was actually even last week a sale on indie games. But when there's the big sales where there's like 200 games on sale at once, a lot of them are like half off, so you can get them for under $10, so you could stock up. I think about 8 of the 40 games I mentioned were free games with golds, or at least have the first parts of them available for free. So these aren't kind of break the bank games, but of course the BioShocks, the Borderlands, those are the kind of full price games. But I tried to steer you at least with this first video to a lot of the indie games that you might not be as familiar with unless you are already an achievement hunter. Kona is a really cool indie game. It's not an easy 1,000, but it's a fairly easy several hundred, and I made a few achievement guides for that. Same with Layers of Fear, a fantastic horror game, but there's a lot of collectibles, so you might want to use some guides. Same with the Outlasts, very scary, disturbing games, but a lot of collectibles. There's some very difficult achievements to beat it on the hardest difficulty without ever having a battery, without ever being seen. So there are games like that out there. If slower games are more your pace, the game right above where I'm showing you now with the Resident Evils is called Poi. It's kind of like Banjo-Kazooie or the Mario games on Nintendo. It's a platformer and it's just a lot of fun. Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 7, I was highlighting them because they are fairly easy to get the 1,000 in if you grind. They're not going to be quick games, but if you enjoy them as I do, you'll want to keep playing. Same thing with Evil Within 2. There's this game, another indie game, The Fall. It's pretty easy to get I think about 940 Gamerscore. If you use a guide, there is kind of like a glitch or alternative save you have to make for the other ending, which can be a little annoying. So you might just get the 940. But yeah, essentially that's what I want to set up here. That if you want to follow along, maybe you're new to Xbox, maybe you're new to being an achievement whore. Maybe for some reason you just like my stupid little videos. I'm starting a new account. And again, I have 0 Gamerscore right now. So if you want to track my journey, see, again, I'll probably make about 1 video a month to check in, see what games I've been playing, mention things to keep you going, or maybe new games that came out that are also easy Gamerscore games. All right, but thank you very much for watching. This is Jeff, and I'll be back with more soon.